One.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to another very warming episode.
Maybe you want to clear my throat. Talk a little louder. We don't have a mic.
Old Black Men Conversation.
Hell
Hello,
yeah.
I'm Brother David Harold Dudley III, aka Sweet Sunny D, aka Cool Breeze, and I welcome you.
Hello, I'm Gary, your personal street philosopher. I'm here for you through thick and thin and every other thing. And to my right, I am proud to say I'm sitting next to the one and only,
The real Cliff Barnes.
real Cliff Barnes.
I don't have a lot of aliases that I would like to share, so I'm just gonna say hi. How are you? And
I have some aliases, but that's a hard act to follow.
that's what I'm
So
saying.
I'm just going to stick with one.
Just one.
Yeah.
So anyway, we were discussing something before the camera came on, and apparently it's a controversy, and that's been actually blowing up social media. Would you like to fill us in on that, Mr. D?
Well, Reverend Jamal Bryant, who is the one who initiated the Black Target boycott, spoke at a church that wasn't his. Now, my understanding is Reverend Bryant is a Baptist, a Southern Baptist, but he's African American, and he spoke at to a congregation that wasn't his, and the majority of the congregation was gay. Gas. He apparently spoke on the fact that God loves everybody, and if you repent, you're going to be like everybody else, and you're going to heaven. Well, a lot of people outside of that church, that particular church venue, did not agree with his assessment, and they thought he should have told those sinners that they should get their butts prepared to get burnt and go to hell.
Because of their being gay.
Yeah.
Man, I tell you, there's just, I don't know, there's just so many things that when you but when you bring religion into it, it kind of takes a different kind of it's like, oh, well, he should have been representing us because this is how we believe, whereas he's expressing his views. So I don't see a problem, from my point of view.
Who are the ones you mentioned they were not a part of the congregation? Who are these people that got mad at him?
They were outside of that specific church. Now, they could have been his own people.
So
They could have been the Southern Northern Baptist, or the Bigger Baptist, or the Fuka Baptist, or the Jacka Methodist.
So they're allowed to have their own opinion, but that doesn't make him wrong, does it?
Yeah, it makes him wrong.
In their eyes.
See, everybody's wrong. See, that's the thing about, to me, it was the biggest thing that turned me off about religion back when I was growing up, because I could see where if it's not my way, you're wrong and you're going to hell.
Mm-hmm.
And that was for every single different church.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there are so many.
There's a lot of people, just regular citizens, that have that belief. just not church leaders or not just people walking around every day living life like you or me. And you get into that conversation where, blah, 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 and going, this and going, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, I believe this. And if you don't believe this, then you're going to hell, I'm going to go to heaven. And I mean, so, and then there are possibly a lot of churches or sects or religions that believe that, but for the most part, they're just like blinders. I don't care what you say, I don't care what questions you ask, this is the way it is, and it's like God said it, I believe it, bang. That's it, and you're wrong. The way you live your life, the way you believe, everything good is wrong because you don't believe the way they believe, and you don't, I guess, worship the same way. I thought, everybody's praying to God or in, some supreme being or religious entity, whatever people refer to it as. But that's so stringent. There's no leeway to accept anything but what that person believes.
So when we get to what that person believes, what they want to believe, that opens up a lot of questions for me. One, I may have had this wrong all this time, is the preacher the conduit of the message from God to the flock, or do I have that wrong?
Allegedly, supposedly, because in some religions they refer to, don't they refer to like Muhammad as the messenger?
Right.
So that would be like a reverend or a priest or the pope or whatever being the conduit to the flock. That's,
So if they didn't agree with him, just don't go to his church. What
right, but
what am I missing here?
No, but the thing is, it's not, they're reading the Bible.
Are they?
Yes. They read the Bible, they go to church, but religion-wise, if you don't believe exactly the way they believe, you're going to go to hell. Okay. I'm living my life so that I can go to heaven, but if you don't believe like I believe, you're going to hell.
Okay, they're just cherry picking the Bible, in my opinion. Okay,
regardless.
So to say they're reading the Bible doesn't mean shit to me. You either gonna trust the whole Bible or none of the Bible.
But that's what I'm saying. That they believe they're living their lives the way that God wants them to and the Bible tells them to. They're not deviating from the book. They're just interpreting it differently.
That's just like I say potato, you say potato. It's exactly like that.
Okay, but at the end of the day, are we feeding our flock either potatoes or potatoes? Is the potatoes getting to the flock, or you're saying, no, I said potatoes, I got a bigger stick than you, right. I'm going to hit you in the head, and it's going to be potatoes, and forget about all the rest of the history.
But it's not to that point. That person is not saying, I personally am going to punish you for not believing the way I believe. That person is trying to say, hey, God's going to get you. I'm not going to lay hands on you. I'm just going to tell you the word that's in my head. Now, whether it's right or wrong or indifferent, the point is that's the way they believe. They look at the Bible and they interpret it to say one thing, And you look at the Bible and you might question that. Well, if you question their interpretation, you're going to hell. Because they got it right.
Because the other problem I'm having with the church, the Bible has been weaponized forever. Not that it had anything to do with glorifying God or Jesus. It's just I'm gonna weaponize the Bible to get what I want, and it has nothing to do with the belief.
A lot of the famous battles and wars were fought over a difference in religion.
And all that is, again, it goes back to a personal choice.
Mm-hmm.
A personal choice. You know what? I'm going to paint the tip of this shoe blue. And if your ass don't paint the tip of your shoe blue, then we got a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so where did God say that?
Well,
God got nothing to do with it.
But
listen.
beliefs are God-based, or are they supposed to be, right?
No, but here's the thing. See, it's not about how you live in whatever, but at this point, it's what the Bible says. They will quote you scripture to back up their beliefs.
Correct. The KKK was
Yeah.
Bible-based.
Yes, all that shit.
True.
Yes.
And the Bible was used to keep the slaves
Exactly.
in line, but that's not God's Bible.
But
how do you know?
But you don't know who translated the Dead Sea Scrolls and all of that. Who translated that? Man did it. Men did it. Scientists, theologians, whatever. They interpreted it. If you look at some of the writings, Roman writings and Greek writings and things that they found, these guys will go, well, this symbol kind of looks like that, so maybe it's saying the same thing. Whereas that ain't saying nothing about that, but they interpreted it wrong. So the translation, as from what they found, they think they found like practically the stones that Moses came down with.
And the other thing about that is what was left out and why, and who made the decision to use all of this and call it the Holy Bible.
But that's my point, is cherry picking the Bible and saying you're all that. What is your belief system? Like you said it, I believe what I want to believe. So if I'm going to believe only what I want to believe, I don't need religion.
But the thing is, they believe what they want to believe within the framework of what their interpretation of religion is. They're not. They're going through the world with blinders on, as far as, it's like, oh, what are they doing? Oh, they're drinking. Oh, they're smoking. Well, if you don't drink or smoke, you're going to find something to back you up, and then you're going to get down on the people who drink and smoke. Or people that are not married living together. Or people that are attracted to people of the same sex. See, all of these things are things I don't believe in. So if you do, you're going to hell. And so that's what I'm interpreting. There was an assistant pastor at a church which will remain nameless, and everybody else or everybody in the congregation were following what the leader of the church dictated. Okay? But when you talk to this person who is an assistant pastor, he had that mentality. You could talk to the people that are officers and in the church, and they all say, well, God said this and the Bible tells us this. But this person was the only person that I met in the whole congregation. I used to call him Reverend Overkill. Because he would tell anybody that would listen, if you don't believe the way I believe, if you don't interpret the Bible the way I interpret the Bible, and do what I say the Bible's telling us to do, you're going to hell.
Okay, so the fact you're going to hell means somebody believes that there's an existence of God.
Of course, there's in his mind there is a heaven and there is a hell, and the way that I'm looking at it from his point of view, everybody ain't gonna all go to hell and everybody ain't gonna all go to heaven. But the thing is, only the people that believe that him will make it a nice environment for him to spend eternity, whereas all the rest of y'all's down there in hell.
Yeah, we're living in hell right now.
Well, that's
You ain't got to wait for it.
there you go. Now see, that's another line of thought. Because some people will actually believe, well, hell, we're living in hell now. So we're serving our time. We're living in hell, so that when we go, when our demise happens, we go to paradise. There's people that believe that.
So does anybody other than me have a problem with how people want to separate their beliefs from God's word? I haven't met anybody that had told me they've actually had a conversation with God. So the people that said they talk to God, maybe they talk to God, but are they having a conversation with God? So, all right. So I want to believe this. I'm going to take the Bible. I don't like that shit. Oh, that fits me. I'm going to use this. I'm going to preach this. Then there's guys like, you got to use the whole Bible. You just can't choose what you want to choose.
Yeah.
So how have they managed in their minds? No, that's a stupid question. Have they separated their beliefs and God's actual existence, the omnipresence person or entity, what they really want? Like, take care of people, be nice to you. A sense of right and wrong, as I think I understand it, is probably a better way for me to put it.
Well, most of the people that I heard say things like that, it's usually not a conversation. It's a one-way transmission.
They're beating you with it. In the
No,
head.
it's like this. It's like you see people and they say, "Well, what happened?" And they'll say, "Well, God spoke to me and told me I should do this," or Jesus spoke to me. But it's never like, "So, how's it going, God?" "Oh, just fine. How's things with you?" "Oh,
Yeah,
wait, I
yeah.
already know that."
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, you know
You
what?
know.
Yeah.
I can speak on that. The at some point, I was very disgusted because I didn't understand why, with all the BS going in the world, nobody was actually doing anything to stop. Not even one small step. And I got up one day, literally, said, "You know what? It says somewhere that you should feed those that are hungry." So I started a feeding program. I went to church. I asked for permission to do it. They said yes. I got very little support from the church itself. But I carried it out for almost 15 years. And I got volunteers. I got food donated. We made sandwiches. We took it out. We fed the folk. Now, there wasn't, I can't say I wasn't spoken to. Because I got up one day and said, and I had been asking, so what can I do to help? What can I do to change shit? And that's what happened. Now, I can't speak for anybody else or
Nope.
any other folk,
But
but that's what happened with me.
But originally the word that was used was conversation with God. A lot of people have been spoken to from their interpretation of what happened from God, from Jesus, or whatever your religion is. But it was like conversation, like, oh, I'm doing it, where in a sense you're debating with God, that you're arguing with God. It's like, no, I have never heard I've never heard of that kind of response. But I've heard a lot of people, I've talked to a lot of people who have had a similar experience to yours.
I think. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I think what we tend to do as people, especially when it comes to the things we don't understand, is we try to put it all in terms that we can understand for ourselves. So when somebody says, I had a conversation with God. Our first thing is like, well, who can really talk? Like, God, conversation? No, that doesn't make sense. Like me and you were talking. But what they could mean is I prayed about a question, and that question could have been a week ago, a year ago, whenever. They prayed about something, or they're continually praying about something, and then one day they wake up and they have the premonition, the whatever, in there, the answer to what they're asking, and they can interpret that as a conversation. I asked, he answered.
Okay.
But what we want is, what does God's voice sound like?
Well,
You gonna tell me, how does he talk? Does he have a southern slang? Like, that's what we want to turn it into. But I think what it is I asked a question and I received an answer. And that could, we like to call that God. Some people just be like the earth. Some people, whatever
The
people call it.
universe.
You know what I mean?
But that could be karma too, because like the way you explained it,
Yeah.
you said, "Here, God, what do you want me to do? Whatever." And maybe you did it more than one night. It didn't happen, but then a year later, it happened,
Sure.
and you said, "Well, I had this conversation with God." Well, karma happens when it happens. So, when karma happens, karma's going to happen, and there's no timeline or when it's going to happen. But so when people say God's will, what's the difference between God's will and
Your will.
our own will? I mean, God's word, and the will. Do we have self-will without God having to tell us what to do? Can we make that choice?
You make that choice daily.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the difference when people say God wanted me to do this, but it didn't work out, and God gave me will, so I did it based on my will? It sounds like an excuse when things don't work out, like that's God's fault. So if it's God's will and if it doesn't work out, then just live with it.
How do you know it's God's will?
Well, I'm just
I
saying
think
that's
when
what
people use those phrases,
Right.
Because a lot of times now, okay, let me preface this by, I do believe in God. I believe in all of that. Now, but a lot of times when people say God told me to do this, especially having to do with somebody else or something. A lot of times that's just them justifying what they're doing. They're like, no, God told me. You don't want to argue with God. It's God's will. And then when it doesn't work, and be like, that, though, using that particular phrase and whether something works or whether it doesn't, that's honestly between that person and God. At that moment, they didn't put smut on his name and said, he said, do this.
Yeah.
Now, that's may not be something that we'll see revenge for, but that's just something in their personal life. All right, so if your life ends and you find out, oh, God is real, and he pulls up the video, like, why you lying on me? That's on you. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But in while we're here on earth and somebody uses that, a lot of times that puts people in a position to be like, well, did God really tell them that? Because he ain't tell that to me, but what they're telling me is going to affect my life. And that's why it's a dangerous game to play, especially if you really do believe in God.
Well,
Like, don't be just saying God told me stuff and start.
but it's like you want to be, you're the messenger. God told me to tell y'all to do this, and you find people who will believe in that little thing, like Jonestown. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Drink this
all the
Kool-Aid,
people and the Kool-Aid and the whole thing. Yeah. So I mean, it's like it's been used. That phrase has been used in a lot of ungodly ways. You know, where people say, "Oh, well, God told me to do this." Well, oh, did He, or whatever? You know.
I think what people need to be asking. Okay, this is half a joke but half real. People, God told me this. Which God? See, that's the question we'll be asking, because there are many gods. You know.
Yes.
So
Many religions.
I remember a few years ago, and we was having trouble with a particular when we ain't up at Ebenezer, younger guy. So this guy who used to work for the state, retired, and now is back at church and had been a church officer before, is standing at the altar, prayer. This preacher's praying and the altar is full. This guy, since I was one of the young Turks then, turns to me and he says, God sent me to help you get rid of this guy. While we're praying, right there. And I'm like, oh, Jesus.
Interesting.
Help me. Because I immediately tuned him out, right? But a month later,
Yeah.
we're having a church meeting, and this guy, Linda Velasquez, he turns to her and tells her, "You ought to keep your daughter in the kitchen like you was, barefoot and pregnant." And she heard him. And she goes, "What do you think you're doing, right?" And he raised his hand up to her, and her husband, Dominic, ex-UW linebacker, takes 2 steps and knocks the fuck out of him. He knocks this guy out. I mean, he knocked him out so good that when his head hit the floor, I thought, oh my God, he killed him.
He was out before he hit the ground.
I had a yellow Funkadelic shirt. I had blood all the way down there from this guy bleeding. And the point of my story is, this guy showed up. He was trouble from jump because none of that had to happen. But he facilitated that, I think, right there, that day, that Sunday. And when he tried to go press charges for getting hit, they wouldn't let him press charges.
So could he have been Beelzebub?
What?
Could he have been the devil?
Yeah.
So
he could have been influenced by the devil. I'm not gonna say that he was the
One
devil.
of the devil's minions.
yeah. So, and what better way to undermine your belief in God is in the church,
Right.
Because this is where
Right,
people
right
go
there.
for their salvation.
Sure, but you have people that are good and you have people that are evil, and
They both get there in the church.
they I don't know, they hold each other at bay so far, but then you find a lot of people who have trouble deciding what's good and what's evil, and they're easily swayed by, well, let's call it shiny things, and suddenly their beliefs kind of change, and this does this. You didn't used to do that, now I do this, and I didn't used to do this, now I do that. I mean, so I mean, we humans are very naive about a bunch of shit, and it's Well, there's a maniac in the White House that manipulated half a country.
He had a lot of help from a lot of people who were
Doesn't
willing
matter.
to look the other. He could not have done it by himself.
Doesn't matter that he couldn't do
Or-
it by himself. The evil that he has perpetrated
And
is
spread.
it's still he's the sinner. He's the core of all of it. And when I say
Yeah.
evil, I mean, like taking people's jobs and taking and destroying
Food out
their
of mouths
lives
of kids and,
and
shit
and destroying
yeah.
their lives and things like that. To me, that's evil. But
This is why I
Anyway.
feel like he's despicable. He's the most despicable
There you go.
human being that I think I've ever seen or met.
hey,
But not to get sidetracked, do you think, like your story's a good one, could that contribute to the fact why it's so hard for churches to attract young people into the congregation anymore?
that's one of the things.
Yeah, I think it's just one of the many things. I think that I'm not saying every church is like this. They're insincere. I mean, they talk about helping people, yet right down the street or right next door, there may be somebody who's a drug addict or who can't feed their family or who just lost their job. And what are we doing? What are churches doing? Well, you know what? My office hours are 9 to 5. Come through, and maybe we can work something out.
And that's not, I mean, and a lot of it is when the young people that are interested in the church, that particular way that church operates and worships and whatever, the older people won't let them in. They're not saying, oh, well, I've been in this position for 35 years, so I'm pretty much like going to die out. Well, no, we have to have a change. We have to change with the times. And if you want young people here, you have to let them do what we do. And we just ease out, and there's a lot of them guys that just won't do that. They won't they got a little fence around their little group that won't let new ideas in. They're single-minded, and it's not. You can't define what it is. It's just, hey, I am a officer in the church, and I'm proud of that. But at the same time, I'm holding back the church by not allowing young people to, be assistant this and assistant that. I can do it all by myself kind of mentality. And young people are like, well, we're just not going to sit there and follow your orders and do all this stuff here. And then where does it lead to? And that's just a human trait. we want to be rewarded in some way or another.
Interestingly enough, I grew up in the church, the AME Zion Church that we belong to in Asheville. Was actually probably within a block of the church where we lived at. And I knew all the kids. We all went to Sunday school. We all did this and that, right? And this is where from 4 to 5 years old, right? The last time I was back there at that church for my uncle's funeral, the kids that I knew that grew up there in the Sunday school class with me were now the officers of the church. They never left. You know why they never left? Because the church adapted and grew with them.
And that's what churches should do.
Right. Right.
So, the officers of the church you mentioned that my position is more important than anything. I had a thought, and it just flew out the window. So, these are church people.
I'll close it.
Do they not believe that God wants them to go out and bring the children back to the church and have them grow up through the church?
Why, let me ask you this. Why would you, if you don't have a child, you don't have a grandchild, you don't have a child as a neighbor, why would that even enter your mind?
Because it's not just about your children, it's about those that need the community.
Well, I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah,
Why,
I know
why,
what you're saying.
why would you?
Well, I guess if you believed in the teachings of Christ,
But if
then you would.
But if you believe in the teachings of Christ, you would be doing something without prompting, not even regarding children, but other stuff. You understand what I'm saying?
Some people need prompting. Some people can't do it. Like when you started your program to feed the hungry, could that have been the God within you? Like you didn't talk to this omnipresident, said, "Hey, Dave, I want you to start this little thing, feed people, get them food." That was the God within you that said,
Yeah, something within me wanted to do
Okay.
something, but I didn't know what.
"Okay."
You did?
But some people will do it if they're just prompted the right way. It's like the kids, I believe, or I shouldn't say I believe, do you believe that if the church wanted to have the kids come in and join and grow the church and pass it down generation to generations, that they would? Or they could?
The thing that I've noticed is there's more youth involvement when the person in the pulpit is younger than some of the
Okay.
you know, like this guy's been at this church for 45 years and the whole thing like that. Whereas this kid, they elected him as their minister, and so he's closer to that next generation than
That's
the
a good
guy
point.
that's
Yeah.
been in the pulpit, you know. And I mean, the thing is, it's not that that's the only way that I've seen that work. I mean, that in one of the churches I've gone to, there was like a go-between group. You know, you had the old folks up here, and then these guys are their assistants and whatever, and then all of the kids, you know, it's like we wanted to do shit. Nowadays, they don't seem to have enough for the kids to do, because all the kids want to do is fucking text and watch YouTube and TikTok and all of that stuff, right? And when we didn't have that distraction when we were kids. You know, it was like, hey, you know, we can go to church and we're not missing anything. You know, we didn't have that FOMO, that fear of missing out, because, you know, we were involved in everything. and we actually talk to each other face to face. You know, like right now, I've seen cases where the three of us are sitting here, we're all on our phone talking to each other, and we're right here.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yes.
but the thing is, you know, you have to have things to involve the youth and let them have a bit of the independence to do that, to attract more of their peers. You know, but
Yeah, but I think that but it also starts with number one. We're coming in through the door. Don't leave your ego at the door. Leave your phone or your iPad at the door.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would go a long ways towards facilitating other stuff.
Yeah. Well, a lot. Like I said, we didn't have that distraction. You know, well, that's instant entertainment when you're by yourself. Yet alone when there's a bunch of you. You
I
know.
do the same thing when I go to church. I ain't gonna lie.
Well, we've evolved. We've evolved to what it is now: short attention spans
Sure.
and
Instant gratification.
ADHD. So
You know, instant gratification. Now it's supposed to happen now. People are going, well, you know, this new, was it 5G is so much faster than, and I'm like,
yeah,
I personally am patient enough to deal with whatever my little not an iPhone will do. Whereas people are going, damn, this thing, it's been forever. It's like, dude, it's been like 5 seconds since you,
yeah.
you know, that's too long. You know, and then there's games. Oh my God, there's games.
Yeah. Did you get my text? No, not yet. I texted you when? Oh,
Yeah.
10 minutes ago.
Right. Said, well,
Okay, I might have been running away from my
yeah,
phone.
but what did you text me? Call me.
Yeah,
You
right,
know,
right,
see,
right.
I swear, man, it's a different world. It's so
It
funny,
is.
'cause, you know,
Mm-hmm.
just like somebody the other day said, yeah, you want to see something funny? Give one of them millennial kids a rotary phone. And watch him try to operate it.
Oh, be sneaking up on it. So,
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, and things that we took for granted as great, you know, like these are, oh, this is wonderful, and like,
Yeah.
oh, look, those people are in color instead of black and white. Oh yeah, you know, and all this stuff. Now it's like these kids are not impressed. You got to do, you got to do some amazing shit to impress them, which brings up the point of influencers. I'm thinking. I'm looking at these people and I'm going, who are they influencing? And why do these people think they're being influenced?
there are some people that want to be influenced.
But apparently, because these people who are cyberspace
Yeah.
influencers, you
Yeah.
know, and I don't, and
Well, you gotta understand with as many people and young people that are on the internet, they don't. To the point of internet that taking up everybody's time. Kids aren't really developing personalities, so to say they're looking to be influenced, yeah, they're watching all these videos of people who are seemingly living a life that they're like, oh, that's the life I want to live. That's the person I want to be like. So they start to, be like the people
Subscribe
they're
and
following
stuff.
and stuff like that. So
yeah.
a lot of young people are, even if they're not looking to be influenced, if all they do is scroll, they're being influenced because that's all that's going in.
Yeah, that's like fashion trends and TikTok challenges. That was some dumbass shit. People was eating tablespoons of cinnamon and shit like that. Remember that?
I mean, I will say this: if they fall into some of these TikTok trends, it'll be funny.
Right.
Great entertainment.
It is entertaining.
That's what I'm saying.
I got a pocket full of TikTok shit right now.
That's what I'm
I got
saying.
a pocket full of it.
Totally
Like
different.
one time,
yeah.
the crate challenge, and I think it was there. I don't remember. I think it was 2020, but where people stacked up milk crates and tried to walk up the pyramid and walk back down, and most everybody was trash and was falling off and hurting themselves. It was funny to me.
But fails are hilarious apparently because there's so many shows about them here lately. You know, one of my favorites is Whacked Out Sports.
Seeing people fail at stuff. The world is really big. You don't know how big the world is until you go down a rabbit hole of something and realize there's millions of people who are doing this. And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
It's so
And there's
crazy.
a lot of clever stuff on TikTok too.
Yeah,
a lot of it.
here's
I
the
try
deal.
to avoid it, but I can't.
I know. See, here's the deal. We have all this, like I said, entertainment, but you have to remember, we live in a country that bought pet rocks.
Mood rings.
Which is no surprise why the internet can take up all your entertainment. It don't take much to.
People are easily entertained and persuaded. You know, in some cases manipulated. But I mean, that you know, it's so weird. And then you have the big debate whether or not man landed on the moon. And then you have the other debate, well, is the earth round or flat?
Have you changed on that?
What?
Do you now believe the earth is round?
I don't know what.
Huh?
Some people
You
think
were a flat earther for a while, weren't you?
Oh yeah.
What did you do with David?
But you got it confused with Kyrie Irving.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I thought you were backing the flat earth conspiracy for a while.
If you go flat, you'll fall off. If you go around, you go around.
Yeah, but if the earth was flat, cats would have pushed everything off.
It was okay.
So, no, but I mean, there's so many things that people debate, and the debate gets bigger and bigger because of the internet. People are getting other people's opinion. They're sharing a bunch of stuff, and you know, all this is going on. And we didn't have all that ability to do all that as quickly as, you know.
You know, I got caught up in it too. One of the most intelligent conversations I've had recently was with AI.
Look,
I'm guilty.
But look, as long as you don't want to date AI, it's cool. Don't be making no plans.
Okay, I caught up. They got me caught up.
But no, there's a bunch of stuff. Is that, you know, I was watching this one little video and it had a baby and a cat, and then all of a sudden one of them farted and they just are cracking the hell up. But the baby's holding the phone, and the minute they go back, the fucking phone just disappears. You know, and it's like, yeah, well, you can tell that it's AI, but a lot of people, unfortunately, have not been able to so far, because there's been a lot of things that have been very hurtful and evil that people use AI for, and are continuing to use AI for, and that's the bad part of it. You know, whatever discovery happens or whatever, somebody's going to try to figure out a way
For evil, right.
for something evil to be associated with that. So,
What do you get if you cross James Brown with AI?
I don't know, Siri, what?
Say it loud. It loud. Dun dun dun. Say it loud. It loud. I just.
That's so. That's way too literal.
Okay, I'm back.
Oh wow, we were around when that song was new. That's amazing. You have to thank God for that kind of longevity. You know, so yeah.
If you were locked up in a room with your avatar, and the first one to leave mean they gave up, would it be your avatar or you? The first one to leave. No, one of them has to leave.
Why? Okay, who set up this contest anyway? And what's the prize? See, there's the human in me. We want to be rewarded. What the fuck?
This is just stuff I dream up.
Well, I know, but the whole point is, what would make you want to leave the room, and well, maybe your avatar is annoying.
That's my point. I don't know how long I could stay in a room with me before I'm like, nah, I had enough of you.
You kidding? I'd have a great time. If I had
Oh
another
man,
million,
oh man, it would be a shit. Oh,
bro, I get the phone. I'm like, all right, do they think the same thing I'm thinking?
Yeah.
Okay, because I got sketches in my head that I had a twin, but I can't. It's too hard to edit.
Right.
But if I just had another me, bro, we going viral. Let's get this camera set up.
You know,
That's a good point.
Right.
I could stand to be in the room with me.
I could see there's a lot of people I couldn't stand to be in the room with, but being an only child for most of my life, I lived with siblings from time to time, but for the most part, I was an only child. I have no problem.
Hey,
I was with myself a lot, and I love me some me. So,
I was the oldest. I was an only child for 6 years.
yeah, see?
My mom came home one day with a baby, and I'm like, what is this?
The end of your reign.
Am I screwing up or what? You didn't ask me a damn thing. I mean, who is this? That's your sister. Where'd you buy her? Frederick Nelson, can you take her back? I'm happy. But, hey.
No, me and my avatar would get along just fine.
You're right. I agree with CJ and you.
You know, I neither one of if we were gonna leave, we'd probably leave together.
Perfect Nate.
You know? It's like, wait, what? Are you sleepy? Me too. Let's take a nap. Get done with the nap and say, all right, what you want to do? And then we go do it because, like, we're thinking the same thoughts.
Right.
You know, so it's an avatar. And we actually look alike. Go figure. So, you know, I think we leave together.
Tell a joke. Try not to laugh with yourself. Yeah.
Sometimes
Come on, you want to laugh. You know you want to laugh.
Sometimes I crack me up.
Did you hear the one about yes?
Yes. Well, what about I wrote it?
I wrote it.
Fine. But anyway, yeah, that's just some of the weirdness that goes on in the minds of old black men.
Hey,
And we have lots to choose from.
you take some sleep apnea with some ADHD and some antidepressant medicine. Oh, life is good. Life is good.
Good God.
You guys are at about 52 minutes, so you can call it, or you can go another 8.
Hey, the weirdness was flowing.
Hey, I can get weirder, but I have tamed it down. You have to.
Yeah, well, this is true.
Well, I think it's about time that we do like James Brown and stand it. Well, can't stand it? Don't.
I didn't know when he couldn't stand it.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Good God.
He was standing it, you know. But I don't know, maybe it was some kind of deep, dark.
Well, one last question to bring this full circle. We started out talking about the church. And one of the things we haven't talked about that I have heard is some people believe the church is a pimp gang. Do you have any opinions on that?
Certainly.
A pimp gang.
There are a lot of preachers that are in it for the wrong reason, although they have, you know, the theological credentials and what have you. But their main objective is living a life that they couldn't live if they was just a regular citizen.
Once upon a time, after observing for over the years, whilst in high school, I determined that I wanted to be a preacher because I could get free money.
Mm-hmm.
And I could talk. I mean, I was an actor, so I could do all that.
Mm-hmm.
Reason prevailed, and I didn't go that route. But there is substantial reasons for one to think about going that route because of the way this country is.
Well, you have them super churches on TV.
The biggest pimps.
Now, you know, they get money right here, right now, tangible money, and then they get money in the mail. Or the wire transfer, or whatever the hell,
Yeah.
you know. And the thing is, it's like, okay, it costs a lot of money to have a whole television staff plus your normal religious staff. And, you know, you got overhead and all of that. But then, after that's paid, where the rest of that money go?
Well, and that's what I don't see, and maybe they're just shy. I don't see commercials where, or on the news, breaking news today, 5 food banks all of a sudden are full of food thanks to the MAGA church.
That's what I was talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What
That's-
you did.
Right, because there's really, there may be one or two here or there,
Right.
but ain't nobody doing that shit. You know why? Because if $100 comes in, $100 of that is nonprofit. So I don't have to account for shit.
Kind of like the NFL.
That's okay. This is for another day conversation. That pisses me off because, like what you said, it's nonprofit, and I just heard on the news that the Supreme Court has allowed churches to back political candidates.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like I say, the biggest example of a nonprofit that I know of is the NFL. So
Yeah.
these are just microcosms of the NFL and organizations like it, depending on how it's run and how much money is changing hands, et cetera, et cetera. But you know, you have a lot of things that are nonprofit, but they have to justify. I mean, they don't have to justify
Right.
every bit of money that comes in,
Yeah.
how it's spent. So you have some people that will take advantage of this, you know. But
What do you think God is doing with all the money churches collect? I mean, He's got to be rich. All the money for thousands of each church. What is God buying? A new universe or what?
if he allowed us to create the,
Or maybe all that money's not making it to God.
hey, I got no problem with God. It's just some of the people he got working for him,
I got no problem with
or
God, but it's-
say they're working for him.
right.
You know.
So maybe it is a pimp game. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I'd like to.
So is
I'd
it
like to get into the archives underneath the Vatican.
underneath the who?
The Vatican. There's a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
under
there's
there
a
that
bunch,
would,
yeah.
that would solve a lot of mysteries, allegedly.
True.
And there
True.
is like a mega fortune in artifacts and
Yeah.
probably writings. But you know,
Yeah.
nobody can go down there. Well, the Pope probably could, but he would count if he could take everybody with him. But yeah, see, I mean, religion is very profitable
Always has been.
in, you know, in yeah, throughout time. Wars have been fought over religion and beliefs. So, you know, I mean, both religions are teaching peace, but they're beating the hell out of each other.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So, you know.
Well, it's time for us to get up out of here.
So now it's time.
Yeah.
To say goodbye to all our company.
Oh my God.
OLD.
How old do you have to be?
Your age.
Conversations more. Mickey Mouse.
Donald Duck.
Mickey Mouse.
I said Donald Duck.
Okay. All right. You guys are.
We wrapping this up, or
I
what are we doing?
I think you're both peeing at the same time.
Could be.
And I'm pissed because y'all
But
holding out on me.
Thanks for coming by today.
Yes.
We'll see you again in the very near future. And as I always say, if you like us, tell all your friends and relatives and people you meet on the street. If you didn't like us, keep your mouth closed, wipe it dry, and keep on stepping. I'm the real Cliff Barnes saying goodbye.
I'm your personal street philosopher saying be well and stay safe.
Peace out.